Welcome back to another episode of Mimi's Musings podcast. I'm your host Gungo Mildred, and I'm so happy that you've joined me on another Wednesday for another review. I'm so grateful that you're here. Thank you for the people who have been subscribing. I'm so grateful to the people who come back and watch every time. I'm so grateful for the comments, the people who DM'd or, texted me about last Saturday's episode. It was a heavy one. And I'm just so thankful for anybody who texted me with a word of encouragement. Thank you. It's not easy sometimes, this life, but I take it a day at a time. And I'm grateful to God that He has given me everything that He has given me, even the things that I do not say thank you to, because I take them for granted. I'm super grateful, and I'll forever be. Thank you to anybody who reached out with a word of encouragement, okay? So this week's movie review is another rom-com as usual, because I told you I love rom-coms. So if it's not a romantic movie, it's a romantic comedy, or it's a romantic drama, or just a drama. And yeah, because horrors I don't do. I do not do horrors. I just don't do them. So a thriller, if I find a good thriller, I can. We'll see. So I love rom-coms, I love drama, I love comedy, and I love romantic movies. So either way, that's what I do. That is what I'll be watching and giving reviews to. So stay tuned. Don't ever get tired. Please come back and support me every time I upload something. For those who already do, as I've said, thank you. This week's movie is a Soweto love story from South Africa. It's an amazing movie. I loved it. It's a rom-com. So of course I loved it. I told you, there'll never be a time when I'll watch a movie and I'll come here and say, oh, I hated it, unless it's really terrible. Because as long as it's a rom-com, no matter how cheesy it is, I'll love it. I'm a simple creature. I'm just a girl, okay? So don't judge me. So, A Soweto Love Story is a 2024 romantic comedy directed by Rolly Nikiwe. I hope I'm saying the name correctly. And the cast are Duduzile Nkobo. I hope I'm saying it correct because the name has Ngcobo. Please forgive me, okay? She plays Bongekile. She's the matriarch of the Ngubeni family. There's Paki Zulu, who plays Menzi. Ray Niobuso, he plays Sky. Lunga Shabalala, he plays Sandile. Ramodibe, she plays Dina. Didntle Kuno, oh my God, forgive me for the spellings of these names. I'm sorry. She plays Keld. There's Silen Daba, she plays Penny. Nkone Mamecha, I know I've butchered that name as well. She plays Lemogang. Motsoeledi Setumo, she plays Sente. Mike Mvelase, he plays Pastor Solomon. Terence Nguila, he plays Dr. Kumalo. Skumba Hlope, he plays Lunga. And Bohang Moeko, he plays Tabo, amongst other beautiful cast members. Okay? I'd like to ask to please, Aki, forgive me for the spellings, because your South African names are hard. Kenyan names are easy. We just, like, you read the name the way it is written. You know? Kami kuna KH ni kh, na nivo. That is Javesa. And that's the worst you can do. Because, like, South African names are hard. Kushinda hata za Nigeria, by the way. Actually, they're harder than Nigerian names. But anyway, all in all, they're Africans and I love them. So there's no hard feelings, there's no problem. But forgive me for saying the names terribly. Okay? Forgive me for that. Now, if you love spoilers like me, please continue with this. If you do not like spoilers, I'd like to ask you to please leave and do not come back. You can just leave a like, actually. Just leave a like on the video and walk out right now. Just go. Because this is the official spoiler alert. A Soweto Love Story follows a family of the follows the Ngubeni family. So they have a matriarch, the dad, one Mr. Jonas, he died before the movie even started. So she's the matriarch of the family. And so she wants her sons to get married. And to entice them to get married, she's like, whoever is getting married first gets to keep the house. Otherwise, if a year passes by without any of you getting married, I'm going to sell this house. So the boys, basically the entire movie, they're trying to get with somebody. Yeah. So that is like the whole plot of the movie. But yeah, so let's get into it. So the movie starts at a church. People are praying and singing, blah, blah, blah. But then Sandile, played by Lunga Shabalala, he's driving to the church with his girlfriend, Sente, played by, actually, I won't be saying those names. Let me just say, played girlfriend Sente. His girlfriend Sente. So they drive to the church and then they get out of the car, but this guy akona macho za kutembea. Like you see a guy who just looks at us everywhere. Because even that time they were driving to the church and he saw a woman passing by in front of the car and he stared at that woman and his girlfriend is sitting in the like passenger seat. Who does that? Men, seriously. But anyway, he does that. And then they stop at the church, they get in, and this guy goes and starts fighting with these guys. I didn't know they were the brothers at first. Because you see, like how the pews in the church are, he goes and stands at the end. He doesn't want to kuingia katikati. So he's like pushing this guy to move, but the guy is not moving. And so the people are singing, the mom, the choir, they're singing, blah, blah, blah. And then people go to sit down, and these guys are still fighting. But eventually I think the mom is on who yelled or somebody else, and so he went and sat ndani, which was just weird. These boys kept on picking on him, so it is later on that we find out, oh, they're brothers. Anyway, at the church, the mom, so we introduce now to the mom, Bongekile. She's the president of the church. I do not know what that means. Sasa sijui ni kama ni mkubwa wa Women's Guild ama ni nini ya huko. But yeah, she's the president of the church. And she has a co-president, Mrs. Masilo or Mama Silo. So they are competitors at the church. They are rivals actually, but they are president and co-president. So kuna rivalry kanaendelea between the two of them in the church. But then, so they keep off showing off a stupid competition because it's church. What are you competing for? But anyway, so Mrs. Bongekile, she's talking at the front and then she's announcing something and she also introduces Mama Silo and she stands up and takes over, announcing that she's going to organize the best New Year's Eve party of the century or whatever. But then, okay, so of course Bongekile feels some type of way, but then it's okay. They leave church and at the at the door these two women start showing off again. So Mama Silo announces that her daughter, or I don't know, daughter or daughter-in-law has already given birth to another grandchild. So she has a new grandchild and she shows the pastor. And then Bongekile, not wanting to be left behind. Oh, so she says she has another granddaughter and her daughter, the other one that was remaining, this is Lemogang, she's getting married to Dr. Kumalo. So there's that thing outside the church. And then when she says that, Bongekile not wanting to be left behind, she goes like, my son, Sandile, is going to be proposing to his girlfriend, Sente, at the Brothers Cafe restaurant. So Menzi, the brother, okay, let me say this. Bongekile Ngubeni is the mother. Her sons are Sandile Ngubeni, Menzi Ngubeni, and Sky Ngubeni. So Sky, Sandile, and Menzi are brothers. So Sandile is a music producer or something, and like in the music industry, I think the producer. Menzi owns a restaurant called the Songbird Restaurant, and he's a chef. And Sky is a designer, I want to say. So dressmaker, but designer, you know. So those are their jobs. So Bongekile goes like, Sandile is going to be proposing to Sente, his girlfriend of 6 years, guy, of 6 years, at the brothers' restaurant, That is Menzies restaurant called the Songbird restaurant. So she goes like, that is happening tonight. And so the Sandy goes like, Mom, it was supposed to be a surprise. Because she's telling this at church. And people are kanisa, people are leaving the church. That Marcelo is outside there. Everybody is listening to this. And so she proceeds to invite everybody for that. And I'm like, yo, why? Why would you put your son in such a situation? Proposals as it is, they can go either way. Because it's a surprise for this lady, but they've been dating for 6 years. So maybe she was expecting it, or maybe she was at the point of, I'm giving up. I'm not interested in this guy anymore. He's shown me that he's not willing to settle down, so I'm leaving. So when you tell that to the whole church to come and witness your son proposing, Ayo. Anyway, so she says that, and she invites everybody, and the guys just panic. So Menzi is making calls so that the restaurant could change the menu and to add more people. And Sandile is like panicking, okay, so everybody's going to be there, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, he goes to the restaurant later on that evening. Menzi is at the restaurant. He's stressing his chef, Chef Mandler, until he quits. He's like, no, I'm done. I'm quitting. I'm leaving. He leaves, and Menzi starts following him, calling him all over the restaurant. Remember, this restaurant is full of churchgoers. Outside the restaurant, Sandile is arriving with Sente. So they come in and they park and they leave because he knows what's going to be happening, but she doesn't. But actually, they all go to the same church. So they leave the car, and as they're walking towards the restaurant, because she's like, we're having dinner again at Maisie's restaurant again, but she doesn't know that she's going to be proposed to. So as they're walking towards the restaurant, she goes like, I've forgotten something in the car, and she goes back. And while she's going back at the car, she finds a bra like under the chair or something, not like under the chair, like it was covered by just something up kwa kiti. So she finds a red bra and she's like, yo. She goes and asks Sandile, whose bra is this? The guy's like, I do not know, babe. It's not mine. I do not know. I do not know who left it there. So, of course, she gets upset and they start arguing because she's yelling. The people in the restaurant, the churchgoers, they come outside to witness this. And I'm like, Ma, you messed up. Why did you invite the church people to come and witness your son's proposal? Because what is this kind of embarrassment? But anyway, so that happens and she leaves. She's upset. She goes, and then there's a scuffle outside the church because now people are arguing again about this issue. The mom is asking like, what did you do? Why aren't you following her to go and apologize and stuff? It was just chaotic. Moving forward. At the house, the mom is embarrassed, she's upset, and that's when she gives the boys ultimatum. She tells them, you guys have to marry before the end of the year, otherwise I'm selling this house. Whoever marries first, actually after 1 year, not by the end of that year, after 1 year. So she goes like, whoever marries first within a year, they're the ones who I'm going to give the house to. And so the guys are like, okay, deal. We are going to do. It was a funny scene when they were begging their mom because she first told them, I'm selling the house. Before she gave them that ultimatum, she told them, I'm selling the house. And the boys, they were behaving like kids. Like three men. It was a beautiful scene. It was funny though. Like these grown-ass men begging their mom not to sell the house. Sijui Menzi has taken a loan with the house. And I'm like, how did you do that? Did your mom authorize that? And Sky Sijui is also living. Sky and Menzi are living in that house. Because Sendile is the only one who's living in a penthouse. Sijui wapi yuko. But I was like, these guys are funny. This is hilarious. How are you living with your mom in your... I don't know how old they were. They never said, but they were old enough to get married and stuff. But yeah, so the mom ends up telling them, whoever gets married within a year, I'm giving them the house. And so they're like, okay. So all of them are talking about it. So Sendile is the only one who was in a relationship with Sente. Menzi had never dated. And then Sky, because he's a designer, the way he used to dress, he dresses like that guy from Young, Famous and African. Swanky, I think his name is. You see, like how flamboyant Swanky dresses is how Sky dresses. So it's easy to confuse him not to be straight. And so even I, when I first saw him, I was like, yeah, he plays for the other team. But yeah, he doesn't. But we've come to like get it conclusively at the end, towards the end. At this time, nobody could believe he was straight. Not his mom, not his brothers, not his best friend. Nobody believed that Sky is straight until later when he showed that, you see, I wasn't talking about an imaginary girlfriend. She actually exists. But everybody thought he was gay. So anyway, so they beg the mom gives them the ultimatum, and now they start working on it. So Sandile spends most of the movie begging Sente to forgive him. He goes and looks for her and tries to talk to her. He serenades her. She agrees for a meeting at a restaurant, and they go again. Okay, these boys at Menzies restaurant, and he's allergic to, was it artichoke ama ni nini? I think artichokes or something. He's allergic to it. It gives him like terrible stomach or something. Running stomach. So they blend it and put it in his food and they serve it to him while he's on a date with Saint intellectually. This part I was like, you bros, even if he's trying to pull one on the other, like that is just not okay. Because he's your brother. You grew up together. I know with the house on the line, you have to be competitive, but some things they were doing to Sandile, they only punished Sandile. None of the others got, although Sandile revenged with Sky later on. But anyway, so Sandile tries to gain Sente's forgiveness, but he tries everything, goes and serenades her because he has recording studio. He has a vocalist or a musician, I don't know, somebody who sings for him. So he writes the song, he produces them, and then he has somebody who does the vocals. That is Kels. He asks her to go and sing for Sente at her workplace. So he does. By the way, there's a time he went there to go and look for her, and this guy, Tabo, was like, no, she doesn't want to talk to you. She's on a very important meeting. You cannot wait for her, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, our work husbands, they're the ones who just want you to leave your partner so that they can jump in and be like, you see, I'm always here for you. Anyway, so this time he goes, he sings, and she agrees, and that's why they had the dinner. But then another time again, after that dinner, because it didn't end well, while they were there eating up before the artichoke poisoning, there's a lady who passed by them and was like, I'm going to the toilet, follow me or something like that. I was like, yo, are people that brazen? Like, you just walk up to somebody who is on a dinner date with his girlfriend, clearly, and you're like, yeah, follow me to the loo. Seriously. But anyway, she did that, and because his eyes, macho yake chokangi, inaangalia, kuangalia anapenda kuangalia. But then he does nothing about it apparently. He was not a cheater. Because at first when I saw him looking at that first woman, I was like, this guy is a womanizer. But he wasn't. He was just one of those guys who likes looking, but he never does anything about it. Because even he had a conversation with Kels at some point, and Kels was like, you cheated? And he was like, no, I didn't. I don't know whose brother it is. You know, like, I look, but I never do anything about it. It's like you. We have been working together for a while. I compliment you. I do 1, 2, 3, but I've never crossed the line with you. And if there was anybody I could have, maybe it would have been you because I work with you all the time. So she was like, yeah, I believe you. So when he asked her to go and serenade Sente at her company, she agreed. And she was even like, just forgive him. If I were you, I would. So anyway, that happens. Another thing he did for love was take her for a balloon thing. Like, so they go, but then he had paid you $100 to the guy who operates the balloon. And he was like, so that it doesn't go up. By balloon, I mean hot air balloon. So, you know, like, hizo zinanga juu. Hizo. So, he had paid the guy not to let them go. But, so he's afraid of heights, apparently. So by the time he discovers that, yeah, they're already up there, because Sente tells him, he looks down and he's like, oh, yo. He panics and jumps. Yeah. You are afraid of heights. You find yourself in a hot air balloon. you're already off the ground and you want to try and jump from that thing to the ground. Nani. So even just lie inside the balloon, just lie inside it so that you don't see how high you're going, ama like the ground. Because you're jumping, you'll break your bones, man. But anyway, he tried to do that. She screamed, she tried to help him. And then they went back down and she was like, okay, just trust me. And then he put his feet down and he was safe. So other than that, they did a couple of things. And then he finally proposes. And she asks again because her main thing was, whose bra was it that was in your car? And so she asks again, and because he's kept on telling her, I do not know, I do not know, I promise it's not mine, I do not know. But she does not believe him. So eventually he just says, it meant nothing. It was just a one-time thing. I swear I don't even remember her name. And so of course she gets really upset and she leaves. But then wait, I think I'm forgetting some part. I think she tried to leave, but she forgave him because that is not the thing that drove her away completely. So after that incident, there's another part. Wait, I'm confused. But because after all that, she still accepted his proposal. Yeah. And they came to Menzies restaurant to announce to everybody that they were engaged. And Menzi, being the terrible brother that he was, he's like, oh, so you're finally engaged. Did he tell you that he just won the bet? And she's like, what do you mean? And yeah, we have a bet going for the house. And so he just won by proposing to you. And so she's like, tell me the truth. Is this the truth? And it's like, I'm telling you, it's not the truth. The way he's saying it, in a kani mbaya, but that's not it. Because I was like, Menzi just did something wrong. Because Sandile wanted to propose even before the mom gave them the ultimatum. So for Menzi to say this, and for Sky to say nothing against it, to back the brother up, that was just wrong. Anyway, so she leaves. We'll come back to them later. Because after this, she really breaks up with him and she's like, no, I'm done. And she goes. Now, Menzi. Let's talk about Sky first. No, Menzi. Let's go to Menzi. Menzi, after Chef Mandla leaves, he goes back, and so that whole scenario with the church proposal doesn't happen. So he's in his kitchen and he's trying to make soup or something, and there's this chef who comes in, a lady, Dina, and she's like, you're looking for a chef? And he's like, yeah, but yeah, not you. I'm just going to save you the trouble. No. And she's like, why? So he's like, they do a little thing there. And so she comes in and I'm like, one, hii kitu yenye inaoneshangwa kwa TV. I do not understand why TV shows. I get it's acting and it's a mixture of realism and, just crazy. But there's some things that I prefer realism in. Like if you're working as a chef or if you're cooking in your house, I prefer there to be some realism. You cannot come from jogging outside, come into the house, into the kitchen, and start blending your fruits and vegetables to make a smoothie without having washed your hands. So in this scenario as well, there's no way this chef is coming from outside, coming for an interview, and once she's in the kitchen, no hairnet, no nothing. But even speaking about that, that chef himself, Menzi, had no hairnet, he had a beard, nothing. So I was like, so many mistakes. And then she walks in and she starts touching spices and mixing in the soup. And he's like, hey, what are you doing? Blah, blah, blah. You're going to spoil it, leave it, blah, blah, blah. Ugh. Anyway, it was a good entrance. I didn't mind it. But it's just, I needed some realism in the kitchen. Please be clean. Even if you won't have a hairnet, do not touch food without washing your hands. Because then I'm like, no, ew, ugh. But anyway, she adds some things in the soup and she gives it to him to taste, by force, by the way, because he was still yapping. And so he tastes like, oh, that's good. And so that's how she gets the job. So they start working together. And when they were harassing Sandile, she was upset with how they handled that scenario where Sandile brought Sente to the restaurant for their date. And so she was like, you guys are brothers. You shouldn't be behaving like this because it wasn't fair what you did to Sandile. And I agree. So after that situation, she overhears him talking to somebody and telling that person about their mom's situation and the ultimatum that she gave them. And so she offers to help him get somebody. And so she organizes a couple of blind dates with some women. So the first one was super crazy. I don't know. The first one had a problem where like she was eating and she had sauce on her mouth, which I didn't find it to be problematic because all he had to do was be like, hey, you have something on your lip, please wipe it. Or just take the table napkin and help her clean it up. But anyway, I felt like it was meant to mean that she's messy. And now the second one was like very, very aggressive. They sat at the table and she pulled his arms over to her and she wanted, I don't know, to eat him or kiss him. I don't know. But anyway, and the other one was, what was the problem of the other one? I don't remember the other one's problem. But there was a couple of dates. And then but behind the scenes, there was something happening between him and Dina because you could see it. They had this beautiful chemistry, the way they were working together. Dina was showing him that even though she has tattoos and everything, she has a softer side and all of those things. Because there's this scenario where she bakes a cake and does this whole Christmas party for orphaned kids, and she holds the party at the restaurant. And so she asks him, or she makes him wear the Father Christmas costume. Yeah, Santa, for those who do not know what Father Christmas is. But yeah, Santa. So he comes and he does that whole Father Christmas thing with the kids. And he sees a softer side of her. And then during that time is when she confesses that she was also orphaned, I think, and she grew up in the orphanage, and that's why she wanted to take care of the kids and make a party for them because she used to enjoy them as a kid sometimes when somebody would remember to make them for them, but sometimes they didn't have that. And so that showed some vulnerability, and both of them, there was some chemistry there. And during this time is when now Sandile and Cynthia, they're coming telling them that we are, engaged, and these brothers just decide to mess things up for Sandile. But anyway, so their chemistry is moving on, and then later on, the final girl that he got introduced to was this lady, Penny. They meet and they have the same tabia. Because this guy ni wale wa kuandika kila kitu. I think wanajitanga type A. They have to make a plan. They have to write things down. They have to organize. They have to be like, this is what I need. This is what I want from my partner, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, yeah, yo, that is just too much. But I understand them. Yo, kila mtu na nini zake, tabia zake. So, they meet and they sit down and they have the same mannerisms. He has a list, she has a list, they go through it and they agree it's a contract. I want 3 kids, the lady says, and he's like, okay, agreed. And so she's like, we have to do, if you are going to be doing this, we have to start early. So we're going to get married by January, end of January. I'm like, you're meeting in December when? Seriously? Hey. I was like, no. But anyway, so it was so rushed and stuff. She was like, okay, we seal this contract with a kiss. And so they stand up and they kiss, and that's it. And the kiss was like a smooch, not even like a proper kiss. And he goes back to the kitchen and is like, I think I'm engaged. He was like, yes, Baba, but to somebody you don't even know. Those things that you're marked on that list, they're just that. You have to sit with somebody in order to know them well enough to be married to them. You don't get married in a month unless it's a marriage of convenience, which this one seemed like it was, but still, that woman looked like she was going to be a lot of headache for him. So they agree, and so Menzi is is engaged to Penny. And so she goes like, when can I meet your mom? And they agree and they meet with the mom. And so they're talking, like the way she's talking like a machine. And the mom is looking at them and she's like, you're sure about this? So this is what we have decided. But because they're at the restaurant, of course, Dina is the one who's cooking the food that they are eating. And so she brings it over to the table, and the mom sees the chemistry between Dina and the son, because there was this thing on the table. I didn't get what it was. She was trying to pull it away, but was trying to pull it to him. It was just a whole chaotic thing on the table. And this lady was like, she's rude, but he didn't mind. Menzi didn't mind. The mom didn't mind because the mom saw and she knew there's something here, but she kept quiet. She didn't push. Yeah, she agreed with them because the girl was like, agreed. And the mom was like, okay. So that means that they're getting married. And the mom asked, and she was like, I think 10th of January or something like that. It was a crazy time. And remember, this is December and they're getting married in January. So that by next year at a time like this is what the lady says, we will already have children. As if you plan for children whenever you want and you get them immediately. Like Nani, unless you're God's chosen few, you don't do that. You can plan and say, I will get pregnant in January, and God will be like, okay, we'll see. You get pregnant in December. So don't ever joke with God. But anyway, she did that. So that is Menzi and Penny. We'll put a pin on that. We'll come back to them later. And so we go to Sky. Sky, as I said, everybody thought that he wasn't straight because of how he dressed, because of the way he carried himself, and he's a light skin. Sorry to say this, I'm sorry. But yeah. So, anyway, most of them were, but anyway, it's the way he carried himself. So of course, everybody thinks he's gay, but then he tells his friend Lynx, who she works with him at the will I call it a designer shop, or is it a designer store, or what is it? Like your duka ya manguo yenye wako nayo. So they work together there, and so they have been friends all along. And so because they are talking, he goes like, well, how about we get married? You and I will tell our parents, and that will put your parents off your back, and my mom will give me the house. And in doing so, she will stop, like disturbing me with get married, get married. And people will stop thinking that I'm gay. And so the lady's like, you have to convince everybody that you're not gay, because the way you are, nobody will believe that. But he goes like, don't worry, we'll do it. And so they organize a meeting with the parents. And during that lunch, or is it a brunch or something, they are there and they are talking. This happens after the party at the restaurant, the Christmas party for the orphans, after they had embarrassed Sandile. So he runs home. Sky runs home and meets, like, everybody was already there. He gets late for his own engagement announcement to the parents. And so he's like, hi, sweetie. And they're pretending to be sweethearts. And they even share a kiss, which was awkward. And the mom was like, the lady's mom was bending like to make sure that Nukweli were making, because both of them were looking a little bit sus, even the lady herself. And so Lynx and Sky, they sit down and they're talking to the parents, and yeah, we're getting married, blah, blah, blah. And so the parents are like, okay, we were surprised about this situation, blah, blah, blah. Before they finish talking, the door opens and it's Sandile. He's coming and he's like, hey, surprise, I'm sorry I'm late for lunch. I'm here, I'm here, I'm here. And so before he even sits, the guy, Sky's like, what are you doing here, man? Because it was just supposed to be an intimate lunch between, the parents and Lynx and Sky. But then Sandile is like, yeah, I came for lunch. And I've brought a friend of yours, Lynx, and who enters, a lady by the name of Gugu. So this lady comes in and she's like, you're getting married. She tells this to Lynx. And she's like, yeah, I can explain, blah, blah, blah. And everybody's standing and people are like, so who is this? Sandile na uchokozi yote. So she's like, this is the only time the trouble wasn't on Sandile. It was now on Sky. Because everybody's like, okay, so who is this? And the lady's like, yeah, who am I? Kila mtu anataka kujua, who is this lady? And she's like, she is Google, and who is she to you? And she says, she's my girlfriend. And everybody goes like, oh. The parents just like, Sky feels like killing the brother and all of that. It was crazy. But Sandile won at that one. Because I was like, mmeshinda mkionea Sandile from the beginning of the movie, hata kama ni brothers. Why would you do that to him all the time? But anyway, so that happens, and so that engagement between Sky and Lynx inaishia hapo. It is cancelled with immediate effect. Because what madness was that? But Sky was insisting that he has a girlfriend, and on 2 occasions she was speaking with somebody on the phone. The first time the mom caught them and he hung up. He was like, we'll talk later, and he hung up. The second time again he was talking to somebody, and it was like, you need to come back soon, blah blah blah. We need to tell them. So we didn't know. Whether it could have been anybody, it could have been a guy, a secret guy, but he was insisting that he has a girlfriend. So the movie continues. This is the story, like how they were doing. That is Sandile, Menzi, and Sky. So let's go back to Sandile, how his happily ever after came by. So Sandile, after Sente walked away, he tried, because he had tried his best, and she was like, no. So he went back and he wrote a banger music, and Kels performed it. They worked on it, up the beat and everything, and it was a good, they say album, but yeah, it was just that one song. But yeah, it could be an album, in ile behind the scenes, whatever. And so it was that. And so there was this guy, actually I'd forgotten this part. There was this guy, Lunga Star. Lunga was harassing Sandile from the beginning, because Sandile had borrowed money from Brazix or Brazax or something like that. And so because he had borrowed the money and he hadn't paid, so this guy was nikama wale what are they called? The debt collectors. So he came to his house a couple of times. He carried his leather seats. Then he came back one time. He was coming after the date he had with Sente, the one he had diarrhea in the restaurant. That one, after that date, he came home and this guy was already in his house. Nobody knows how he came in, and he tried to fight him. And then because this guy was walking around with 2 guys, he was like, amekunja paka ngome, let's fight, or whatever he was saying in, I think, Zulu. I think the language that was mostly being spoken was Zulu. So he goes like, let's fight. And he's like, okay, I don't do that. I'm your friend. We cannot fight. Because Bede Lunga called him his friend from the beginning. Even as he was taking his things, he was like, you and I are friends. I'm doing this because of work for Brazix, but you and I are friends. Because he loved his music. He knew that he was a producer and everything. So he loved his music. So he's like, we are friends, but this is for work. This has nothing to do with you and me. So it's like, we cannot fight Wena. So he calls the other guys. It's like, oh, so you want to do it? So he took his couch, his leather sofas, he took his drum set, and eventually he took his laptop, the one at the studio. And that one was crazy. Because ilikuwa imefika mahali paka nachoka nikimwona, but like, how long are you going to harass this guy? Surely. He has told you he will pay. He doesn't have a banger song yet. When he gets the money, he will pay. But anyway, so that guy Lunga ended up helping him so much, because now after he was left alone, he made this banger music. Kels killed it while performing it. And so when Lunga took the laptop at the studio, he went and had the song and he gave it to somebody who knew somebody who knew somebody, and it was on air. So it was being played all over the place and it became a banger, and that's how his career made a turn for the better. And so Lunga comes back and goes like, you see, I've made you famous. Your song, your comeback is here, blah, 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 blah. We are going to do a world tour. We're starting from Dubai. And so Kels is so excited. And she's like telling him, let's go, please, let's go, because you have nothing here, blah, blah, blah. And so eventually he agrees, because he was still thinking about Sente. He really loved her. And so he was thinking about her, but she's no longer with him. So he agreed to live with her, with Kelt, that is, and to go with Lunga, because Lunga was like, I've organized everything. We're starting with Dubai. For a whole year, they were supposed to be doing a world tour or something like that. And so that happens. And then Menzi, he continues that situationship that he was having, that contract with Penny, until there's this time they were at the restaurant having dinner, I think. No, there was a party. I think the Christmas Eve party. Yeah. So, Menzi and Dina, they were at the Christmas Eve, New Year's Eve party, and they were having fun. But then Dina comes and tells Menzi that she's leaving, and he's like, Why? What do you mean?" And she's like, "Because it's time for me to move on. I can't stay in the same place for a long time. It's time for me to move on." So she goes to walk away, and he follows her, and on his way he meets Penny, who's like, "We need to talk, blah, 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 we need to plan 1 2 3." And he goes like, "You know what, I don't think it's going to work out." So he breaks things off with her there, and then he follows Dina, because he was like, sometimes you need to break the rules, like the pattern, blah, blah, blah. And so he follows. By the way, all of these things that I'm saying, I'm paraphrasing. I'm not really saying the word by word what they were saying, okay? So don't go and watch the movie so that you can know exactly what was being said. So he follows Dina out, and he tells her, because she had confessed to love him before she left. And so he goes and he follows her, and they're outside there as they're talking. And she kisses him. And that's how Menzi ends up with Dina. So that is couple number one. They end up together. Sky, Sky, after telling everybody that he has a girlfriend and nobody believing him. So one time they're in church, everybody's getting into church, people are, there, everybody's in the church. And then the pastor takes the microphone and he goes to talk. And so the microphone is not working enough. True African culture, true African ways. The pastor is like, the devil. You see what the devil is trying to do, and they're just like, shetani ashindwe diswa ya huko kwao. And so people laugh and everything, but then yeah. So the mic starts working, but I don't know where these guys were, and how what they were doing was being heard in the church. Because were they mic'd or something? I didn't get it. But maybe one of the microphones were there. So these guys are making out. And people in the church, while the pastor is trying to preach, everybody in the church can hear them making out. And so Dr. Kumalo, actually it wasn't first Dr. Kumalo, it was the mom, Mrs. Masilo. She recognizes the voice because they start talking, and Mrs. Masilo recognizes the voice, and she's like, Lemo? Is Lemo gang? And so she stands up. And so the Bongekile also stands up, and they go to check what's happening. So when they leave, of course, all the boys leave. Sandile and Menzi, they follow. Dr. Kumalo also follows. And it's like everybody's going to see, even the pastor. They go to check. And they find Sky and one Lemogang kissing. Lemogang was going to marry Dr. Kumalo. And she's here kissing Sky. So that is why they were keeping it on the hush hush. It was a marriage that nobody would have agreed with, because the moms were rivals. So instead of putting out there, it was hush hush, just between the two of them. Nobody else, not even the brothers, knew that he was dating Lemogang. So everybody's like, Lemo, Sky, and we thought you are, and he's like, I told you I'm not gay. And so they're like, okay, everybody's puzzled. The mom is yelling, but at home she was like, you see, did you see the look on Marcelo's face? Because that was something. They were happy about it. So anyway, they finished that service, whatever was happening there, and they go home. They have a little Christmas brunch. And then after that, Sandile has to leave to go for that tour they were supposed to go, that was starting from Dubai. So they finish and they leave and they go outside. So Menzi is helping him with his bags. He puts him in the car and they hug each other there. That was such an amazing hug that Menzi shared with Sandile, because it was like, oh, so you love your brother after everything you put him through. But you see now, did he already have dinner? By that time, he didn't have dinner yet, because him and Dina met later. I mean, like that kiss happened later after this part. But then they hug and he leaves for the airport and is there with Kels, and they are about to leave. Lunga is calling them like he's already in Dubai, and he's telling them, I can't wait like for you guys to arrive. I'm going to show you all over. And so while they're there, the ladies, now Lemogang and Sente, they are walking. I don't know what was happening because they were carrying these things like za kubebea vitu ndani, plastic ones, and they were carrying them walking along this path, and they were talking. So Sente was like, so how you guys have been together and how is he, blah blah blah. And he's like, oh, he's the best, he's so good, he does this and he does that. We have done it all over the place. Even one time we did it in Sandile's car, because he had Sky had borrowed it, and it was so naughty and it was so I don't know what, blah blah blah, that I even forgot my brother. And so that's when Senti realizes that Sandile just told her what she wanted to hear, because he had said it wasn't him. He didn't know whose brother it was, but she couldn't believe it. So he was just like, yeah, okay, fine. I'm sorry, I just don't know who it was. I can't remember even her name, but it wasn't him. It was apparently Lemogang and Sky, and that bra belonged to Lemogang. So she realizes her mistake and she's like, he's leaving. So she rushes. We get a real rom-com scene right there. She rushes, she goes like, Trevor Noah, my husband, he always talks about how South African people take something so easy. Like hao na watu wa coast Mombasani wanaweza pelekana vizuri tena sana. Like maisha pole pole nani. Mbona tuharakisha eh? Speed za nini? Tulia. Tulia nkupange. Because this lady is in a hurry. She gets into an Uber and the guy goes like, name, and he's searching on the phone and I'm like, what are you searching? And she also asked, like, shouldn't the app have told you who I am and where we are going? Because he's like, what's your name? And she tells him, where are we going? The lady's like, yo, the app should have told you. But anyway, so that happens. Eventually, he starts driving, but he's driving pole pole, and she's in a rush to get to the airport. So when she mentions that she knows Sandile because his music is playing on the radio in the car, that's when he goes, like, you should have told me that you know him. Okay, you should have told me. And so he starts speeding up. So eventually she gets to the airport anyway, and she sees him, and she anapiga gonga gonga dirisha, and Kels turns Sandile and is like, yo, look. And so he waits, and she comes and she's like, hey, you lied to me about the bra. Why did you do that? And it's like, because I tried to. And she stops him from saying anything else, and she kisses him. And that's how they get back together. So that trip to Dubai, I presume it didn't happen, or they went later on, because he went back to the Christmas Eve party that was being organized by the church. So yeah, he doesn't live with Kels, but Kels, I think, lives. So that happens. And so now after they go back, so now we end up at the New Year's Eve party. So Mrs. Masilo, she had said she will organize the best party ever, but the day has come. The group that was supposed to be performing has not arrived, and so there's this whole thing between Dina and Menzi, because she wants to leave, she doesn't want to stay, and so he's begging her and she doesn't want to listen, she doesn't want to stay. Actually, yeah, there's a different case. I spoke about it earlier, but that's not how it happened. So there was this thing between Dina and Menzi at the party. So she was going to leave and he was asking her not to. And so in order to keep her from going, he goes on stage and starts singing for her. He's off tune, and it was just terrible. People are booing and stuff, and Masilo is already complaining to Bonge Kile, like, is this what you meant by helping me out? And so while he's singing off key, I think the person who's supposed to be singing, the original singer, comes and starts singing, and she's in tune and everything, and it's okay, it ends up being good. And she asks, like, who is this guy's love? And she joins them on stage, and that's when they kiss, not the one that I said before. I mixed up the two, forgive me for that, I'm sorry. So yeah, so they kiss, and that's how Menzi ends up with Dina. So Sky is with Lemogang, Sandile is with Sente and Menzi is with Dina. And so all of the boys have somebody. They are going to be married. The mom is happy. Kilamtu is happy. Even when they... actually, yeah. That kiss explained before, it was between Sky and Lemogang. Well, New Year's after, 10, 9, 8, 7, blah, blah, blah. Happy New Year. That New Year's kiss, the one I explained before, it was between Lemogang and Sky, not between Menzi and Dina. Okay? So, yeah. They're the ones who kiss like that because after they did that, Lemogang's mom saw them and she smiled a little bit. It was a sign of approval. So that was good. So sorry that I confused the two. So yeah, I knew it. I remember that kiss from somewhere. I just didn't know where to place it. But yeah, so that happens. All the boys had somebody. And so we go to the end. The mom is talking and they're like, so Sandile, you get the house. But then they're all like, no, I think mom, you should keep the house because it's our matrimonial home. It will always be a home. We will always have a place to come and visit. And so nobody gets the house apart from the mom, which was such a good ending. And that's why it ends, a Soweto love story. And it's a happy ending. Everybody is happy. All the three boys have somebody. Their mom is happy that she's going to get, daughters-in-law and grandchildren and stuff. And the Mama Silo, she's also happy. So, Nani, there was a scene where this Pastor Solomon, has his hand over Bongekile. And I was like, because that was not the first time I spotted them. There was another part where he was checking out Bongekile before. And I was like, maybe there's... Because I didn't see a Mrs. Pastor, I was like, maybe something is going to happen between the two of them. Other than Pastor Solomon and Bongekile, there's Penny, also known as the Mrs. Control Freak by me. She approaches Dr. Kumalo because now he's single, now that Lemogang has gone with Sky. And she starts talking to him and he's like, oh, so I hear you're a doctor. And he's like, yeah, Dr. MB blah, 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 blah. MBSWXYZ, whatever he said. So yeah, there's that scene. And so it is meant to be like they end up together. And also during the post-credit scene, like at the end kabisa, we see like newspaper prints, like front page, that Kels and Lunga ended up together. But Lunga was vibes. I didn't mind him actually. I just hated the fact that kila saa alikuwa anakujia pesa. I don't like it. Because if somebody doesn't have it, he doesn't have it. You can take everything they own, but they don't have it. So, yeah, but he ended up being a good guy and proved to be a true friend to to Sandile. It pushed Sandile to get money. So, I think it was good. So, Kels ends up with Lunga. Pastor Solomon, I think. Pastor Solomon, I think, ended up with Bongekile. If there's a part 2, we will see that. Penny ends up with Dr. Kumalo. And then Sky with Lemogang. Menzi with Dina. And Sandile with Sente. And that's how the movie ends. Yay! So, I loved all the characters. I'm sure if I watch a South African review, somebody will say something that I do not know because I do not know these actors. I think I only know one. I've seen the other one from something. I don't know what it was. Actually, I've seen a couple of the faces. I think I've seen Bohang Moeko somewhere. I've seen Silen Daba, and I've seen Mamodibe Ramodibe. She acted on Sugar down south, if I'm not mistaken. But the others, and I think like I've seen Lunga Shabalala somewhere. I don't know. Because, like these actors, they are good. So I think I've seen them before. I'm just not sure where, apart from the character who played Dina. Because I know she played on Sugar. I remembered her face. The rest, not so much, but they were amazing. So for me, they get a 10 out of 10 from the acting. Everybody did a very, very good job. Even the moms. But at first I was confused because like the two mamas, they looked alike. With their kofias choir, I think, the church. They looked alike. I was like, who is who? Until later on, that's when I was like, oh, so this is this and this is this. Because when they do not have the church attire, they're okay. They look different. Once they put them on, they're like the same person. And then also, while I was starting to watch, I was watching with, I think, an English dub. I was like, what is this? They sounded so unauthentic. They sounded weird because there's a way South Africans sound when they're speaking in English. There's an accent. You can tell this is a South African speaking. But then they were talking, I'm like, what is this? The way their mouths are moving, the way their words are coming, it's not the same. So I went to check the settings Napata. It was set on English dubbed instead of just South African English. So I had to change. And now I enjoy the authentic thing because I love that. I'd rather read subtitles when I'm watching a South African or a Nigerian movie, but as long as I'm hearing what they are saying, the characters themselves, because I love that accent. I love the Nigerian accent. I love the South African accent. And I want to hear it because it's authentically African. But this dubbing thing, they sounded so weird. I didn't like it. But yeah, so I changed and they sounded good. So if you watch it and you feel like they're sounding terrible, able check on your settings, hapo kwa audio and whatever subtitles, check and you'll find that they are using dubbing. Remove it, the dubbed English, and set for like South African English, the original one, and listen there. You'd rather read the subtitles but get an authentic thing. But yeah, so the characters were good, the acting was amazing, the direction was good. Again, didn't take too long, didn't take itself so seriously, but it was an amazing movie. I loved it. It was a rom-com, so it was good. You know, everything that they were doing from here to there, blah blah blah, everything, it was good. I enjoyed it. Mimi, by the way, the way I've told you the synopsis is not how it was being played. So, cause me, I tackled one person at a time, but in the movie it flows well. So watch it so that you can see the flow. Okay, don't take the way. Don't watch it and be like, this Mildred was lying. This didn't happen at this time, and this no. I told you each character's story, Nini, once, but in the movie flows properly. The director did an amazing job. Cinematography, again, amazing. It was done. There was a part of Soweto. Those two things that Soweto, I don't know. I need to read up on history, but yeah. So it was there. Of course, South Africa is beautiful. The highway a little bit, they flossed with it and stuff like that. So it was good. The music choices, South African music is so beautiful. When they sing in Zulu, in Kota, I just love it. And it was so amazing. I could listen a Zulu song or a Kota song and just be at peace. It's the same way I can listen to a Spanish song, even though I do not understand what they're saying, I can just love it. The choirs, the harmonies, oh my God. Ish. It was so good. The comic relief was amazing. Again, rom-coms, my favorite. It was perfectly timed. Everything was just good. Like, you just have to watch it to understand what I'm saying. So yeah, overall, I will never give a 10 out of 10. I don't know why, but I will give it 8 or 9 out of 10. Always my movies, I just give them 8 out or 9 out of 10 because it made me happy. It was a simple movie, not complicated, not so simple. It was just good. Like, it was an easy watch, Sunday afternoon watch, with the family, because you laugh and be and bond and stuff. So it was a good movie. I loved everything about it. The only things I didn't love, as I said, was the way that guy was harassing, Sandile. But other than that, and the way the brothers were harassing him as well, I didn't like that. I took it as bullying. I just didn't like it. But then the hug that Menzi gave him at the end, I was like, okay, yeah, you love your brother, so that's okay. And yeah, so it was good. So you can go over to Netflix and watch it over there, because I know it's a Netflix movie and I think that's the only place you can watch it. So go to Netflix and watch a Soweto love story, and I'm sure you're going to enjoy it as I did. Okay. And then come back and tell me if you agree with what I agree with, like you didn't like the boys, the way they were treating their brother, or if you didn't like Lunga, the way he was harassing, Sandile as well. And he's the one, by the way, who was bringing the comedy, actually. Lunga is the one who was bringing the comedy. He was funny, Lunga star. He was the one who was bringing the comedy. Because, like, somebody's harassing you and making you laugh at the same time, it's just crazy. So as much as I was upset with him, I was also like, man, you're making me laugh. So It was good. So tell me what you think about it. If you agree with the mamas, they were quarreling because of becoming to do the president and the co-president. That was crazy as well. Cause who does that? And what does president of the church in South Africa mean? I didn't get that as well. Anyway, I'm Kenyan. The South Africans, they understand it. I don't have to, but they are Africans. We need to know these things. So, yeah. So go watch it and tell me if you agree with me, or if you have your own opinions. Comment them in the comment section down below. DM me on my Instagram, or whenever I put up something on Instagram. When I upload this, you can come and comment there. So that we can have an interaction. While you're doing that, please make sure to like, share and subscribe, and hit the bell for notifications so that you can always be the first one to come and watch whenever I upload something new. Okay, bye bye now.